From the frozen north, a new age was dawning. An age of fire and ice, of steel and sail. This was the time of the Norsemen, a people forged in the harsh, unforgiving lands of Scandinavia. We call them the Vikings. Their story is etched into history, not just with swords, but with plowshares, trade goods, and the keels of their magnificent ships. The sound of their oars would become the heartbeat of an era, a rhythm of exploration and conquest that would echo across the world. For centuries, they were a mystery, a storm gathering on the horizon. Who were these people? They were farmers, wrestling a living from the rocky soil and cold seas of Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. They were craftsmen, whose hands could shape wood and metal into objects of breathtaking beauty and deadly efficiency. They were traders, whose ambitions reached from the bustling markets of Constantinople to the desolate shores of a new world. And yes, they were warriors. The Viking longship was the key that unlocked the world. Long, narrow, and shallow, it was a masterpiece of naval engineering. Powered by a single sail and rows of tireless oarsmen, it could glide across the open ocean and navigate the shallowest rivers. This ship gave them speed, surprise, and reach unlike anything the world had ever seen. It wasn't just a vessel. It was a weapon, a home, and a symbol of their untamable spirit. In the year 793, that spirit unleashed its fury. A fleet of longships appeared off the coast of Northumbria, their dragon prows cutting through the mist. They descended upon the holy island of Lindisfarne, a center of Christian learning and wealth. The raid was swift, brutal, and utterly shocking. Monks were slain, treasures were plundered, and the monastery was left in flames. A wave of terror washed over Europe. The Viking Age had begun, but life for most Vikings wasn't a constant raid. Back home, life was dictated by the seasons. In the long, bright summers, they farmed barley and oats, fished the teeming fjords, and tended to their livestock. Men cleared land, built homes, and went to sea. Women managed the farmstead with absolute authority, controlling the keys to the food stores and the family's wealth. They were spinners, weavers, and the keepers of tradition. Children learned the skills of their parents, preparing for a life of hard work and resilience. Society was rigidly structured. At the top were the jarls, the powerful chieftains and kings who commanded loyalty through wealth and success in battle. Below them were the carls, the free farmers, craftsmen, and warriors who formed the backbone of Norse society. And at the bottom were the thralls, the enslaved people, often captured in raids, who had no rights and performed the hardest labor. Their worldview was shaped by a powerful and complex mythology. They believed in the 9 worlds, all connected by the great tree Yggdrasil. They revered a pantheon of gods as fierce and unpredictable as the world they lived in. Odin, the All-Father, who sacrificed an eye for wisdom. Thor, the mighty thunder god, defender of both gods and mortals with his hammer Mjolnir. Freya, the goddess of love, beauty, and war. And Loki, the cunning trickster whose schemes brought both chaos and change. For a Viking warrior, a glorious death in battle was the ultimate honor. The only way to earn a place in Valhalla, Odin's great hall, where they would feast and fight until the final battle of Ragnarok. This belief gave them a courage that bordered on recklessness, a fearlessness that terrified their enemies. This courage drove them not only to fight, but to explore the unknown. While Europe trembled, Viking longships pushed west into the vast, empty expanse of the North Atlantic. They settled the volcanic island of Iceland, creating a new society with a unique parliamentary system, the Althing. From there, the intrepid explorer Eric the Red, exiled from Iceland, led a group of settlers even further west to a vast, icy land he cunningly named Greenland. But the journey didn't end there. Around the year 1000, nearly 500 years before Columbus, Eric's own son, Leif Erikson, sailed even further west. Following tales from other seafarers, he landed on the shores of a new continent, a place of forests, rivers, and wild grapes. He called it Vinland. Today, we know it as North America. The Vikings had become the first Europeans to reach the New World. While some sailed west, others turned east and south. They sailed down the great rivers of Eastern Europe, establishing trade routes and settlements. These Vikings, known as the Russ, gave their name to the land of Russia. Their voyages took them all the way to the Black Sea and the mighty Byzantine Empire, where they served as elite mercenaries in the Varangian Guard, personal bodyguards to the emperor in Constantinople. They journeyed to the heart of the Abbasid Caliphate, trading furs, amber, and slaves for silver coins and exotic silks from the east. Their trade network was a global phenomenon, connecting cultures across thousands of miles. The age produced legends, leaders whose names are still spoken with awe. Ragnar Lothbrok, the semi-mythical hero whose sagas tell of raids on England and France. His sons, like Bjorn Ironside and Ivar the Boneless, were historical figures who carved their own legacies. In 865, they led the Great Heathen Army, a massive Viking force that invaded England not just to raid, but to conquer and to settle. For years, they waged war against the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms, eventually establishing a vast territory known as the Danelaw, where Norse law and custom held sway. Figures like Harald Hardrada, the last great Viking, fought his way from the Varangian Guard to the throne of Norway before meeting his end in England. The Vikings were not just destroyers, they were creators. Their craftsmanship was extraordinary. They were master woodcarvers, adorning their ships, homes, and churches with intricate designs of swirling beasts and complex knots. They were skilled metalsmiths, forging powerful weapons and delicate jewelry. They developed their own alphabet, the runes, which they carved into stone to commemorate a great deed, mark a grave, or invoke magic. But even the mightiest ages must end. A new force was spreading across Scandinavia, Christianity. Slowly, the old gods were replaced by the new faith. Kings converted, churches were built, and the very culture of the Norse people began to transform. The warrior ethos softened, replaced by a European feudal model. The year 1066 is often seen as the end of the Viking Age. In a dramatic final act, Harald Hardrada of Norway invaded England to claim its throne. He was defeated and killed at the Battle of Stamford Bridge. Just 3 weeks later, England itself was conquered by William, Duke of Normandy, a man who was himself a descendant of Viking settlers in France. The age of Viking raids was over, yet their legacy is all around us. It lives on in the tales of exploration, in the spirit of venturing into the unknown. They came from the north, and in 3 short centuries, they didn't just raid the world, they reshaped it forever. Thanks for watching. If you want to explore more incredible stories from history, make sure to like and subscribe.